Welcome to The Eyes of Indigo with your infinitely curious hosts, Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. Our show is broadcast live at 9:30 p.m. Wednesdays. Socio-spiritual topics are laced with humor as we discuss weird stuff in a rational way. Learn more about us in our first episode, The Prequel. Shows are recorded and available on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, iTunes, and other aggregators. A keyword searchable index is at iriscarter.com/EOI directory. Share ideas and comments in the program chat or by email. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share our show. Let us know you're here by typing your hello in the comments because we are thrilled to welcome you as we begin another adventure right now.
Hey! Oh, well, yeah, we were getting ready for the show and we said, we've got about 2 minutes left, and we went to look at the weather and then it was like 5 minutes had passed.
Shot right past us. Good evening. Good evening. March 13. Yeah. Ooh, do you know what tomorrow is especially?
Pie Day!
It's Pie Day! 314, 314, pie, P-I. Yes, my brother's favorite holiday. Eat pie, guys, and celebrate Pie Day.
And then next week we've got the equinox, or is that what it is? Whatever. It is for springtime. Yeah.
Yeah, spring equinox. Yeah, 2021, 22, somewhere in those days, usually, officially.
Yeah.
And then we start our event
all
during that.
Yeah. Do you know what Friday is?
The Ides of March. Is that where you're going? Should Julius Caesar, William Shakespeare, the Ides of Beware, the Ides of March. Tell us what the Ides of March are. Yeah, tell us what that means. How to spell it.
I have no idea. It's IDES. And I always knew it was March 15th, and it was when Caesar was assassinated, but I don't know where the original, if the name came from that or if it came from something else, but they always
the Ides is the middle of the month.
Yeah, okay.
So you can have the Ides of September or the Ides of July. Actually, that rhymes even better. The Ides of July. Honey, you're the movie writer. You now have something can happen in the Ides of July, and you've got a nice little classical reference there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anything else happen mid-month like that? Any holidays? July 4, Memorial Day, Labor Day, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Yeah. Well, Hanukkah is basically the Ides of December.
And we got St. Patty's Day on 57th Sunday.
The green Ides of March.
Yeah, what we're celebrating the excavation of rats or mice or something that day. I don't remember.
I can tell you about that. Yeah. St. Patrick. He was a Catholic that was canonized eventually, and the legend says that he came and fluted and played all of the rats and mice and vermin out of Ireland, when actually it's a documentation of Catholicism coming to Ireland and exterminating all the pagans and the witches. Yeah, there's not any really rats. They were talking about pagans and witches in the name of Catholicism, Christianity.
Oh, isn't that brilliant?
Yeah, pagans do not like St. Patrick's Day. They do not celebrate. They celebrate it as, you can see the T-shirts. We're the ones that got away. We're the descendants of those who survived. We are the ones that lived. Stuff like that.
But it's amazing how steeped Ireland is in ancient ritual and things like that. That
Irish Catholic is very different from Italian Catholic, Polish Catholic, Russian Catholic, German Catholic, American Catholic. There's it's very Celtic, and it has a lot of paganism compared to other types of Catholicism, culturally speaking. It was one of the most integrated versions. So yes, you're right. It is very different. Yeah, it's very yeah. Irish Catholic is distinctive, and much in modern vernacular, you might say they're more superstitious in
yeah,
some ways. Yeah, they've got their rituals and their symbolism that normally, not normally, that mainstream Italian Catholic doesn't normally do. Yeah, but that's what that's about. Yeah, St.
if you want to hear
Patrick's is about.
more about like Irish um, woo woo stuff, go to where we had Paul Nixon on our show a while back. And you can look that up, and he tells some stories and things of things that happened as he was a child, and fairies and leprechauns and all that good stuff.
All that fun stuff, which are profuse in Ireland and
Yes.
Scotland. Yeah, they like that place. So tonight, what kind of magic are we going to talk about?
We are going to talk about psychometry and attachments. We recognize that energy is all around us. We expend it, we save it, we share it. You know, I learned in my early physics class in junior high school that energy never dies. If all things are made of energy, how do objects hold it? Can the energy be changed? Negative energy, positive energy, haunted objects, cursed objects, reading objects for information they hold. We're going to discuss it, and we hope you'll join in on our discussion. Feel free to comment. Let us know you're watching. I did see that it is running on Facebook tonight, so that should be good. I haven't looked at YouTube to see what's happening there, but I will glance and double check.
Thank you.
Yes, it is going on, so we should be YouTube and Facebook tonight. Yay!
So if you're here tonight listening to us, please type in your hello, your blessing, your howdy. Let us know where you are, what city or what state or what country you're in.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting to see where everybody's coming from. And feel free to chime in on the conversation. We love that. We love your questions. We love your commentary. So we appreciate that.
Yes.
So, psychometry. Basic question, Iris, do you practice psychometry in yourself?
I think I do in some ways, but I've never thought of it like that. I guess I kind of came along and was doing things or recognizing things, but I didn't really have the vocabulary for what it was. And so then I get around other people like you that knows all these different terms, and it's like, oh, is that what it's called?
Somebody made up a word for that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, but I mean, I did a lot of research and all when I was younger, but then sometimes I think I would look at stuff and I go, well, I can't do that. But then I found out I was doing that, and so I never applied the terms, you know, kind of like I would distance myself from things thinking, oh, I don't know how to do that, but I can do this. It can't be the same, can it? Yeah, it can.
Yeah, it can. Yes, it is. Yeah.
And I think, you know, you were talking about different names for things. Why don't you go through
Related
some of
stuff.
that vocabulary and talk about what it
Sure.
generally relates to, and then we can expand on it.
Well, then let's start with defining psychometry specifically. Do you know can you start us there?
Well, psychometry is the where you're actually getting psychic or divination of facts concerning an object or its owner, through contact with something or being in proximity to an object. And I think we've all seen examples of that where, like, especially like in TV and movies and stuff, where somebody picks up something. Oh, do you remember, God, what was that movie with Christopher Walken? The Dead Zone. It was a Stephen King book, and then they made it into a movie. And he was in a coma for a long time. And then he came out of a coma, and they used to make fun, like Saturday Night Live would make fun of these scenes because it's hokey when you look at it now, but then it was like really cool. Like, he wakes up from the coma, and a nurse is treating him, and she accidentally she touches him, and all of a sudden he wakes up and he grabs her wrist and he goes, "Oh, your daughter, she's at home. Her room's on fire," and she's like, "What?" And he's like, "No, now, there's still time." And and he's envisioning the daughter in this fire room, and sure enough, the mother comes running up, and the firemen are bringing the daughter out in time and all that. And like, he would pick up an object or something, all of a sudden he's like, "Me, me, me."
Start twitching.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of movies have used that sight gag, for that an object starts giving you information. Oh, there's a TV show that did that, sort of. Third Rock from the Sun. Whenever their high command, it was a movie, it was a TV comedy about 4 aliens that were living on Earth as humans and pretending to be a family together. And one of them would receive messages from headquarters off planet, and it was French Stewart. It was his character, French Stewart. Big physical comedy guy too, and he would jump into a funky pose with his hands up. Incoming message from the big head. And eventually, the big head did a cameo on the show, and it was William Shatner. And John Lithgow was the main character in that one. Okay, yep, Heidi's watching us on YouTube. Hello, sweetie. See you soon. People, twitching into receive mode, they suddenly strike a pose.
Happen, it's very
it
rare.
Normally does. That's Hollywood.
I think the local mediums where, like, they'd say, just drop your items up on the table as you come in, and then they would walk over and they'd feel drawn to something and pick it up, and they would go, "I'm picking up, whoever used to own this," or whatever. And then they'd go, "I believe it's your person," and you would confirm whether or not it was, or they might naturally know who it was, or they would start describing the person and they go, "Who does this belong to?" And then they could tell you more. It was really interesting. Kathy Martin used to do that a lot. And
that's fascinating.
Yeah. And so it's, when you're picking up information psychically from objects, or from being, whether you're touching them or near them or whatever,
interacting with them somehow.
Yeah.
And that does include photographs. A lot of people forget about that. That's not just pens, pencils, and brochures and handkerchiefs. It's also photographs. You can read the people in the photographs by touching the photograph. All right. And psychometry is a trick that I do, but that's a cool trick that I haven't tried. Have everybody anonymously drop their shit on the table, and then you turn around and try to figure out who belongs to what. That's a challenge. Apparently Kathy could do it, and that's really cool. I haven't tried that. That might be fun to try. Some other words, you asked me for that. Some other words for related practices. And Iris and I talked about how much different words were relative to the psychometry practice. And some of them actually eventually disqualified themselves from the conversation. But 3 that stayed with us, chiromancy, palm reading. Yeah, chiromancy.
Not to be confused with cryo, like you've frozen your hand.
I was going to say cryomancy. Actually, there's a whole word. There's a whole vocabulary. You actually said one. That's right. Actually, there is a cryo, and what that is a type of scrying. And I forgot to bring that up, and I'm glad you did it. Yes, like messages and waters. Yeah, you see which way the frost crystals grow and what pictures and energies and swirls as the frost crystals creep up the glass. Usually it's glass, but you can do it across water if the air is cold enough.
Holy
But yeah,
cow.
there is a cryomancy. You can read crystals and crystal formations. You can do it with icicles, and I bet it works with stalactites and stalagmites in caves.
Yeah. Mites and tights.
Mike, okay, cool. I don't know which one is which, but I do know they go like that and build each other. So anyway, yeah, there's all kinds of scrying words. There's wax, melting wax and reading that, water ripples and reading that, frozen water crystals and reading that, oil on water and reading that, colored oil on water and reading that. And those are all called scryings, but they are also mancies. And let's see, yeah, chiromancy is just involves reading your hand. Another one another word I found that was really cool that a lot of us are familiar with, and you are too, taromancy. And what is that?
Reading tarot cards.
Yes. Yeah. It's all kinds of card reading, especially tarot.
Yeah. We say that, but yeah, I know people that use playing cards, or then you have oracle cards. Lots of people design art cards and all of it, you're reading it. You can get guidebooks that tell you what the cards are intended to mean, but you can also pick up readings based on the people you're reading and the energy that comes from the cards at that point, because it'll have different energy on it for different people.
Exactly. And you can clear them out and all kinds of things, just like you do for tarot. It's less common to see people doing reading card readings, but the 4 symbols, the 2 colors, the people cards versus the numeric cards, all those things, and relative to each other, the sequence, ace 2 3 4 5 6 7, all those things make for very interesting playing card readings, and it's intuitive as well. The third word that we came up with, my husband reminded me, geomancy, commonly known as dowsing, and that can show up as those metal rods, swinging, that are L-shaped, but I can't cook.
I've got a pair in
and you
here.
hold it, and the rod moves around where water is, detecting water as they swing.
Yeah, they're too long to show on screen.
Yeah, you'd be banging the computer. And there's that kind of dowsing can also be done with a typical pendulum.
Mm-hmm.
As well. And you can make a pendulum in a heartbeat. You can use a necklace, or you can use a piece of string and hang a ring from it. Yeah, anything that'll stay together and like that. So you can improvise that even at last second. But that's a geomancy. And all these things are tactile. Your touch tells the rest of your body, and therefore your mouth and your eyes, to communicate whatever energy or information they're showing you. So yeah, that was fun to research that. There are websites out there that literally have hundreds of words. And there's words for reading poop, species. God. Yeah. there's the reading of poopomancy. I don't know. Reading it. Yeah. Scatomancy. That's probably what it was called. It was just those hundreds of them. Scatomancy, scatometry. Yeah, you're right. You're onto something there. But you can read the entrails of dead animals or specific birds. The dead animals are usually something that died by accident, like a pet or a human. But they also do this with like frogs and goats and so on. Pigeons, doves, crows.
I can read their guts and tell you they died from an abdominal injury.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah, these are considered darker arts that we're talking about as well. They are considered darker arts, but there are less violent versions that you can do instead of hurting an animal that have to do with scattering runes and stones and gemstones and pebbles and sticks and leaves
Yeah,
and see these things land. Yeah, and that's the same kind of casting and divination without hurting anything. So yeah, and that's considered less, much less dark. Much less dark. And it's called divination. These are all kinds of divinations, how to divine something.
Yeah.
So you, during our pre-show warm-up, were talking about an occult museum that had objects that were perfect for this kind of psychometry thing. And we were talking about the what ifs. Could you, and that was a fascinating conversation. I said, please, let's take this to the show. Can you tell us more about this interesting family and the museum that they have?
Yeah, a lot of people may have heard of Ed and Lorraine Warren, and they were a couple. They've both passed away now, and they were both a couple that did investigations, exorcisms. People would complain that they thought their kid was possessed or their house was possessed or there was demons around or whatever. They worked closely with priests, but they did exorcisms themselves. Lorraine was very psychic, and Ed was very religious. And there have been movies. There's been at least three Conjuring movies. The Conjuring is like the first that was about them, and and then they followed up on that, and then and they're all supposed to be based on true stories. Then the Annabelle was a famous doll that was in their museum, and she was actually a raggedy Ann doll. Yeah, I'm going to. I was just.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So this is the couple that played Ed and Lorraine in the movie. Let me go here and show it. They kept everything, like when they would go in and something would be possessed, and like this is a movie scene with the Annabelle doll in the background.
Yeah.
And they made a movie based on that doll. Might have made a couple of movies. It's become a whole thing. But the Annabelle doll is actually a big Raggedy Ann doll. And the story behind that is some girl was living in an apartment with a couple other girls, and her mom sent her this doll, or she had a favorite. And anyway, it turns out it was possessed, supposedly. And the Warrens, when they would come across something in their search, they would collect the items and put them in their home in a room and have things enclosed in glass boxes. They would go in and do a cleansing ritual or blessing ritual every month. They would have priests come in and bless the items, but they didn't want them to get back in anybody's hands. Now, since they're dead, this stuff is now in a museum. And everybody is told not to touch anything in the room. Here's like a samurai suit. It's been in several movies, but it was displayed. Let's see. In the movie, things come to life. I mean, so you got to take the movies with a grain of salt. The occult museum claims to have vampire coffins, but there's not much about them beyond that. They now make. I found a website about the museum. They have cursed photographs, demon masks. There's one object is a brick from Borley Rectory that is said to be the most haunted building in the United Kingdom. Children's tombstones, human skulls, and then, like I said, I'm just kind of scrolling through and showing some of these. But they have the museum, and people are required to actually like dip into holy water and bless themselves and that sort of thing before they
at
go
the door.
Yeah. before they go in. And it's like, yeah.
Little
And
showmanship there.
right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I have one of the things that I was questioning is a ritual is only as good as what you believe in. You know, it's it's just like somebody who's has obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. If they think they have to shut the door 3 times before they leave the house to make sure it's locked,
Right.
that's their ritual. And they're not
Yeah.
happy until they've done their ritual, and then they can go on. And, you know, gesticulating and saying certain words and you know, doing certain things, you know, if I believe that I can't enter my house until I hop 3 times on one foot and do the backward scoot and the Charleston dance or something, then I'm going to cause myself psychologically to have an accident once I get in the house if I don't do that. And honestly, religious rituals are a lot of the same thing. It's just a way that people have chosen to express their belief or express their needs in blessings and all that. Doesn't mean it's bad, but it doesn't mean it's necessary either. You know, you don't have to do the same thing that everybody else is doing. And I guess that kind of brings me around to, we might think, what I didn't understand is why the Warrens didn't just cleanse these items, get somebody to cleanse them.
Once and for
And
all.
yeah,
Yeah.
instead of thinking that they had to put them in glass cases where people wouldn't touch them and keep them squirreled away in their house. Because to me, in my mind, all I can see is all that energy in that room. No wonder they had to go in and do cleansings every month and blessings and stuff, because you know, I wouldn't want to put them in the same room together, because these demons that are possessing are going to be talking to each other. Don't want that. You know, I mean, that's, you know, if you're going to take something to the extreme, let's take it all the way.
Why the hell not? Maybe if they entertain each other, they'll leave us alone. Shaman emergency call here and now. Yeah, yeah, sure, for sure.
And I did want to
Well,
acknowledge Ashley. I threw the stuff up on the screen earlier, but I didn't actually say hey to her. And we're looking forward to seeing her next week, and Dale and Jeannie next week. Yay! So
actually, everybody here, that's awesome that is written so far. Excellent. We'll all be together next week. It's going to be dynamite. But
yes.
we'll talk about more about that later. And we're talking about demon possession, and that occurred to me. And well, sorry, possessions that have demonic shitness in them. Why would somebody want to have a collection of demonic or possessed objects? And I'm thinking nature of the beast, and what that means is, all right, Ed and what'd you say, Ed and Lynn and
Ed and Lorraine.
Did you ever meet Ed and Lorraine yourself? Okay.
No.
I haven't either.
Oh, Frank! I thought I had his book, but I don't. Frank Zaffis. A lot of people have heard of Frank Zaffis, Zaffas. He's been on shows and stuff like that, and he is their nephew.
Okay.
And he
all right.
does a lot of paranormal investigations and things like that.
That's not unusual. And yep, for it to move sideways like that to a sibling's kids. But my thought is that I can, in my life, I've met many people that would love to have all that negative, dramatic, interesting, oppositional energy in their home, in their possession.
People go to eBay and buy that shit all the time, whether or not it really is or not.
Right. They're not, obviously they're not too particular about what energy is in their life, but they apparently enjoy the drama. That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is perhaps the Warrens saw themselves as caretakers.
I think
It's
they
our,
did.
like Ghostbusters, it was their job to contain it. It was their
Don't let
job to
stuff
contain
get
it.
out and take the risk of it getting reinfected and somebody getting in the hands of somebody and
Yeah.
harming them in some way or whatever. Which I mean, I think is admirable. I'm not saying that, but
you can just clean, but that still doesn't answer your question, which is, why didn't they just exorcise and banish and clean everything? If you want to protect the world from it, then take it out. Clean it, send it back to its point of origin or to the light or whatever place you want to send it away from there. So I don't know. I was wondering, I forgot to ask you that, if you had ever met these people. Where is the Occult Museum?
Connecticut.
It's in Connecticut. Okay.
Connecticut.
That sounds like something sounds like something they'd have in North Carolina or South Carolina.
There's probably a version somewhere around, you know. And I picked this up earlier and was telling Margaret a little bit about it earlier, but I was working at it was the Creative Center of Greensboro, and it was a school of creativity when I was there, but it was just an arts center. They had classes and resident artists and that sort of thing. And we were having like a kind of like a yard sale type or rummage sale to raise money for some programs. And people had brought different items. Some of the artists had brought in like artwork that they were selling, but this was just a random item that somebody had that they had left on the table to sell. And I saw it and I fell in love with it because I love bunny rabbits. And he's got such a cute little nose.
God, I like it.
And but I had picked him. I picked him up, and I think he was just a buck or two, you know. And I had him sitting on the table with me, and the friend who taught me theta healing came by my table, and she said, "Is that your bunny? Did you?" And I said, "Yeah, I picked it up over there, and he's cute." And she's going, "You know, he's got some negative energy attached to him." And I knew I had felt something a little bit wonky about it, but I was seeing deeper into it than just the superficial yucky energy. And she said, "Do you want me to go clean it for you?" Cleanse. I said, "Sure." And she went over in the corner and she like just was doing all this, you know, almost like she's somebody doing Reiki to something, but you know, she was sending the energy out back to
He was
create.
gesturing. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was over there for a good 15 minutes with this little sucker. And she came back and she goes, "There you go. He's all clean." And he literally looked brighter and cleaner. And he's been happy ever since. I got him sitting in my desk with some other bunny rabbits.
He's got a little necktie looking thing. It's adorable.
Yeah.
Sweet boy. Yosh.
Yeah. And then he's got the, you know,
Gorgeous designs everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. It looks sort of I don't know. It reminds me of like South American lookish.
Yeah, Huichol, Aztec, Toltec.
Yeah,
Toltec and Huichol, they do beaded work instead of paint that looks similar to that. But yes, you're very right. That's Central American Mexican style.
Oh,
Yeah,
fun. But you know, and then and I've got another story I didn't mention before, but we were doing theta healing classes, and it was one of the more advanced classes in that building. And we had taken a bathroom break, and the building was empty pretty much except for us at the time. And we were going back down the hall to the meeting room that we were using. And as me and another woman walked down the hall, on somebody's office door was a damn it doll that was hanging up. And if you don't know what a damn it doll is you can look it up. But usually, in fact, I've got, this is sort of like a damn it pencil. You know, when you get frustrated, okay. You do its hair and then you go, yeah, right. Yeah. But damn it dolls, a lot of times they look like a little stuffed doll, but people will like whack them on the desk or something when they get frustrated. You know, you can take your energy out on them. Well, I hadn't really paid attention to that being there. But as we walked back to the room, I went, do you feel the energy right here? And the other person was me is going, yeah, I felt it when we were going to the bathroom. And what is that? And I looked and I knew the person that was in that office. And I said, well, that's one reason. I said, because I think that person. But I said, oh my God, look at this doll that's hanging on her door. And so those of us that were in the class, we immediately got around that doll, blessed it, cleansed it. Because it was like, think about the energy that gets expended
on the doll.
And it's just collecting all that crud, just like a lint brush. And so it was like, and when I say we were getting that energy away. I actually made the mistake one time of telling a woman, her son had asked us to come, and we went to her house and we said, there may be some things going on here. I don't know that it's necessarily haunted, but there's definitely some negative energy here. Maybe we could do a house cleansing for you. My house is clean. And she kicked us out. She didn't realize we weren't talking about brooms and Windex. She misunderstood. And I was like, no, we don't mean that.
She told somewhere along the line, she told somebody else, she'll never but guess what they said to me. And somebody said, Karen, that's not what they meant. And now she's too embarrassed to ever tell you, to ever go back to you.
I mean, we tried hard. What was really crazy was her house was within, it was just basically around the corner where it wasn't Hinckley, Michael, somebody that he was put away for shooting up a bunch of people in Winston or High Point at an intersection. He shot a bunch of cars and stuff, and he did it in the name of some star. Yeah, it was Hinckley. Anyway, yeah, it was right in that area. And there was a bunch of weird energy around that whole place. And we figured, looking at where he was when he shot and where he lived, it's like there's old Indian burial grounds and stuff in that area.
A lot of malcontent.
And no wonder he went berserk and did that. I firmly believe that energy got into him. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't,
those energies are constantly looking for hosts.
Yeah.
They're almost disempowered without a host. And they eventually lose existence if they don't ever find one. So, yeah, it makes sense for why they want to latch on to things as well as people. A thing is better than nothing, no thing at all.
Yeah,
for sure. So in psychometry, in the practice of psychometry, we were going to talk about what happens? What does it feel like? What do you experience? And when you're doing psychometry, and this would be cool. I mean, everybody here in the chat as well, a lot of you are psychic too. At some point, you've picked up a photograph or an object or a pen or a pencil that belonged to, someone else, a book, a favorite book maybe, or sat in somebody's favorite chair in their house or whatever. And you get a read, and in museums that happens a lot because a lot of things have been touched by a lot of people, even before they got famous to be enough to be in a museum, such as the Smithsonian, loaded with stuff. But I digress. Come back. What is it like? Iris made the very wise observation that psychometry is different for every reader. How I experience it is going to be different from how the next person experiences it. So, having qualified that, when I'm reading something, some of the easiest things for me to read are photographs, but things like personal jewelry, bracelets, rings, necklaces, cufflinks, whatever. Those are the next easiest for me to read. And literally, when I touch the object, the energy of the object shifts from, let's say it's a pencil. The energy shifts from the awareness of being a pencil to I'm getting voices. I'll start hearing snippets of conversation that got wrapped around that pencil, associated to that pencil. And in my third eye, while the voices and the snippets of conversation are coming up, and the snippets of conversation could also be somebody's thoughts. It's not necessarily something they said, but something they felt or thought. But visually, in my third eye, what I see is, this is going to sound weird, little green smoke rising up, a little green mist, almost like it starts thin and gets bigger, like it's a little speech balloon, like it's a little thought balloon, like those little smoke signal thought balloons from the cartoon pages. But they rise up while the talking and feeling and notations going on. Once in a while, those objects will allow an image to bloom. And literally, it only lasts about that long. I was showing it with my hand coming at the camera just then. It lasts for about, 2 to 4 seconds. And I've got that long to see everything I can and try to memorize it so I can describe it. And that's about it. That's about what psychometry does. I don't get the Hollywood, hold something and start flying around the room, like a demon possessed. No, that doesn't happen. I have picked up stuff and went, okay, nope, not touching that again. I've had that happen. It didn't hurt. It just became real aware. Yeah, I don't want to, that either doesn't want me touching it or it doesn't want to be touched at all. I've had that happen in passing, not on purpose. And walking through places like stores, Walmart, grocery store, good stuff like that. I pay attention if I want to touch something, say like there's a row of boxes, popcorn, and I want to buy one. Now in my adulthood, starting in like my 20s, I'll look at the 4 or 5 boxes of the popcorn that I'm attracted to, and I'll mentally ask them, which one do y'all want? Which one do y'all want to come with me? Which one wants to go? Which one is mine? These kinds of questions. And I'll let my hand go to the first one, the second one, the third one in the back instead. Because the object is telling me what is appropriate, and it works. So many times cool stuff has happened. Yeah.
That's I want to get to Ashley's question in just a second. I'll show it, but it reminds me of that movie about food. I can't think of the name.
Sausage Party?
Sausage Party, yes.
Oh, okay.
And the people would come through the store and like that package of hot dogs. Oh, Bias, we want to go. And, or like she picks up a potato. Oh, you're going out. Yay. And then they get to the person's home and she starts prepping them and cooking them and they're screaming and go, oh my God, the horror.
She's eating the baby carrots. Yeah, right.
That is the funniest damn movie. That's all I can think about with your boxes. Yeah, we gotta go. And then they go home. She's gonna put
I actually experience them that way. Yeah. They don't know. They're consumables to me.
Ashley says some thrift stores creep me out, and then I realized it was because of all the different energies on all of the stuff in there. Yes. I can always tell stuff from a dead home or like where somebody died versus given away. I can usually pick up the difference.
Dead alive, has 10 minutes, dead alive.
It's just like,
next week, not now.
Okay. Oh my God, this stuff over here, somebody passed away and their family just got rid of it. And it's just that feeling,
Part of the story, absolutely. Well, when you are doing psychometry or taromancy and all these other fun things, what do you experience?
Well, it depends. When I'm doing tarot readings, if I can get out of my own head, sometimes I'm looking at the cards and well, for a while I would look at them and I'd say, okay, let me get the meaning and then see what else I see in it. Now I've gotten to the point where let me see what I see in the cards, and then I'll look up the meaning and see if there's anything I want to throw in. Because sometimes I get a totally different reading off of the card than for the person than what the book says it should be. But usually it's like I'll start looking at the pictures in the card and it's like all of a sudden I'll like I might see the sun on a card or something, and then it's like, oh, this is about light. It's not about the sun. It's about light. It's about going higher. It's about brightening up something. It's about, and then it's almost like I'll kind of like how when you think about stuff, sometimes it's in words and sometimes it's in pictures. I guess that's kind of the way but it'll come to me, and it's not my thoughts. It's like I'm being shown these things, and it's like, oh, and I'll look at the person and go, does this mean anything to you? And they're like, oh my God, yeah. And it's like, okay, good, I'm on the right track. And I'll just go with that and then just get all kinds of information. And sometimes, you get to a point where you're talking and you don't even know what you're saying because it's just coming out automatically. Yeah. And, as far as like picking up items and reading them, I haven't done much of that, but I can be in a room or in an area and feel discomfort or feel drawn to something, or, I can feel when something's chaotic or when it's calm or when it doesn't belong or when something's not right with it. And that it might be because something's not right with the person and the energy that's around it. As a kid, I used to freak myself out. Well, I would get freaked out by some of my stuffed animals. I had a bunch of stuffed animals. And there were some that were just fine. But like I had a Mrs. Beasley doll, because if you know anything about Family Affair from back in the 60s, and I was probably about 10 years old when I got her. And she's just this cute little green
TV show character. Yeah.
Yeah, well, she was the doll on a TV show. She was a girl's doll on a TV show. And she had this curly hair and a polka dot dress and a little apron and little greeny glasses. And you pull her string and I got to the point where I didn't want to pull her string because I was afraid she was going to say something that wasn't recorded. And I'd have her sitting on my bed and it was like she was staring at me. But I didn't want to piss her off and like displace her or throw her in the closet. I mean, it was very much, and I remember sometimes I think, Iris, you're just spooking yourself. Just sit there and hold her, and you'll feel better. And I'd hold her, and it would be like, okay, this is all right. And then all of a sudden, I'd just get the creeps, like she was going, and active imagination. At one time, I thought maybe, but it was just weird. Eventually, I took a bunch of my stuffed animals and said, okay, I'm too old for this, and put them in bags and put them up in my parents' attic. And then my parents cleaned out the attic one time. So I have no idea where she went, but good riddance. I still don't. I just
still creepy memories from her. Yeah, you got to put some forgiveness on that memory too, so it has less dominion in your brain and your energy and your psyche. Yeah,
and and at the time I was too young to know how to clean it, but I think sometimes it was a way for certain things to kind of keep an eye on me. What are you up to?
Oh yeah, they're curious. Yeah. Yeah, malevolent energies, even when they're not that toxic, they're still very curious, trying to learn. Yeah, looking for an opportunity.
Yeah,
to get a grip on, to get a foothold on the person and/or situation. Yeah,
and I also know I was protected too, so that wasn't.
I'm sure that had a big part of it. Yeah,
but at that age, I wasn't putting it all together, but looking back, I can kind of go, okay, that's why it didn't get any worse than it was. And I'd be downstairs by myself as a young teenager and hear shit going on upstairs, and it was, more than the house settling or whatever, and I did not like that. Yeah, I couldn't wait for mom and dad to get home so I could go to bed,
That was an evil laugh you just did. You're channeling it now. That's really cool. Yeah, I grew up in a house that was big, and like you, I was the youngest, so that meant I was alone in my teen years when mom and dad were gone. Yeah, you'd hear all kinds of stuff that you were told to process as the house settling. It's
And what
normal.
I
Blah blah
did
blah.
was, we had our den, and we had a circular downstairs, and the stairs in our den, you'd go up a couple of stairs and then turn to go up the stairway, or you could go over that little hump, and that's where the downstairs bathroom was. And if you kept going, it was the living room, and then it came back around into the kitchen and back into the den. Well, we rarely went into the living room, so the kitchen and the den was mainly where we were when we were downstairs. But when I was by myself, that's where the lights would be on. And then it would get dark. And then if I had to go to the bathroom, I had to go past the stairwell and into the entryway, which looked into the dark living room. And I'd be like, how badly do I really have to go to the bathroom?
How much do my kidneys hate me or love me now?
And you learn to push through and just, okay, whatever. It's not going to bother me. But there was a long time where it was like, no, I don't want to feel that energy. So
I can understand that. So are there any final thoughts or insights about psychometry that you want to share? Anybody want to make a comment?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is recognizing that if you get something that you feel like the energy's not good on it, ask it to change. Or I think there's a thing about transference of ownership. If you make an energetic exchange with money to buy something, it now belongs to you. If it's an inanimate object, and you can tell it, you're mine now, and you're not allowed to be negative. You are allowed to be positive, and you fill it with positive energy, and you send the negative energy to source, whatever that is for you. It's not allowed to have negative energy. Sun also works to cleanse items, and so like when you go to thrift stores, Ashley, just tell the energy to leave you alone, and when you see something you like, I'm gonna like you. I'm gonna take you home, and you're gonna be positive.
Walk around in a filter bubble. Yeah. Only good things can come into your bubble. Negative stuff gets filtered out. I believe Dale and Jeannie call that an aloha bubble.
Yeah.
And they have their version of describing what it does, but as a similar purpose. Yeah. Bring in good stuff and disallow negative stuff. Yeah.
So I guess coming up next week, we're going to be at Emerald Isle. Be there or be square.
Or even more square than you are, so that would make you a triangle.
Yeah. Smush in the side.
Tighten up those corners, be a triangle.
Yeah. And we'll probably do a short version of our show from there. If
Show you around.
And then on the 27th, we're going to do psychic readings. So if you haven't heard by now, we're going to be at Emerald Isle,
Trinity Center.
Yeah, and we're finalizing plans. If you know anybody that still wants to go and they thought it's too late, we still have some room, and we would love to have anybody that wants to join us. But please make it easy on us and get your stuff in as soon as possible. Go to my website. You'll see the Heal the Healer Summit there. and the link to it is the top link, and go, and you'll see all the information, the schedule, the registration form, and the payment is through PayPal, but you don't have to be a PayPal belonger, and you can use a credit card. And you can get in for what was originally the early bird entry if you would like.
Which is essentially, yeah, $50 off the current price.
Registration, whether you want a single room or a double room.
And if you're a Lua member, you get 75 off. Yeah.
And I have somebody that was wanting a roommate. So if you are wanting a roommate,
there's even that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't feel like
they're all sweet people. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all good people.
So yeah, anything you want to add to that?
It's going to be so much fun. You're going to shift, guys. Bring your own water, or bring water sippy cups.
Yeah, bring water mugs. And
Yeah.
the people that are coming, you're going to get an email from me within probably tomorrow
with instructions.
With instructions and a list of what to bring, to think about bringing. I mean, it's not that it's absolutely required, but like coffee will be provided, but it helps. They try to be as conservative as they can. So, bring a tumbler or mug for that, and bring a water bottle that you can refill there, and that sort of thing.
And at the end of the week, and at the end of the weekend, though, we will do, closure ceremonies, cleansing and closure. Every day, Dale Stacy is going to lead people through some Qigong. Is that right? The right word? I have a tendency to call it something else. It's the wrong word. So Qigong is and other good ways to help grounding and acclimating to the lovely, beautiful, shifting energies that we're going to co-present with Dale and Jeannie and Katie Costa and myself and Iris. Yeah.
And, and it's funny, I should mention, I was talking with the woman that's our contact person at the center, and finalizing some details about how our schedule is going to be next week and all that stuff. And I said that she was asking about furniture placement and that sort of thing. And I said, and we've got somebody that every morning is going to teach a Qigong class. And she kind of went, it was just this pause. And I said, like Tai Chi, sort of, and she, oh, Tai Chi. And so then she's trying to write Tai Chi in her notes. And I'm like, God only knows what's going to show up. So if you see Tai Chi, Dale, don't freak. I told her what it was, but
it's not me. I didn't do it.
Yeah. Right. It was like, and I thought, then if I tell her Qigong is spelled QI, she would really be freaked out. So I was like, I'm not going to correct her spelling. I'm not going to correct her wording. I was just trying to give her an example, because a lot of people hadn't heard of Qigong where they have heard of Tai Chi. And it's like, oh, yeah, people do that in movies. Oh, Patrick Swayze outside his thing in Roadhouse,
Oh, yeah, that's right. He did do that then. I'm thinking more of the Maori New Zealand thing, the Haka. Haka dance. That's another energy dance that I would love to learn. And it's warrior type, and it's brutal, and it's loud, and it's cool. Yeah, talk about energy coming at you hardcore, fast and hard. Yeah, because it used to be a warriors, well, it still is. And they do it at soccer games. The Blacks is the name of the New Zealand soccer team. Or we call it soccer. They call it football.
There's some people that, like, if a woman does it, they get insulted, because there have been some women that have done it. And there has been some cultural misappropriation that people have gotten upset with. And
you can't misappropriate a culture. A culture exists independent of anybody's appropriateness or not. And the word appropriate is a judgment, which means it's a human label and limitation. Yeah.
That's a whole nother show. Okay.
True. But anyway, yes, we will have this kinds of and more fascinating experiences that weekend.
So, we'll check in with you next week if you aren't there, but hopefully you'll be there, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody. So have a good week, folks, and travel safe on your way next week. Good night.
Namaste. Good night.
Thank you for joining the Eyes of Indigo with Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this podcast. Music is Arcadia by Kevin MacLeod. Find us at facebook.com/Eyes of Indigo, on YouTube under @Iris Carter Enterprises, and on various podcast aggregators. Copyright 2023 by Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears.